everyone, welcome to OATSUNCUT, where we embrace the raw and the real and the wonderfully human sides of communication. Today's episode is called When They Don't Raise Their Hand. And I'll be honest, this one's more for us, the adults, the village that's raising the next generation. That's why it's especially close to my heart. We are talking about the quiet students in the classroom, the ones who don't always speak up, whose hands don't shoot up with excitement of the answer, the ones who sometimes fade into the background in a sea of extroverted energy. And yet, they are often the ones feeling the most and perhaps knowing the most. They just don't feel the need to be part of the noise around them. Over the years, I have worked with all kinds of students, from the kids who can talk your ear off to those who can barely lift their eyes and make eye contact when they speak. And there's one pattern I've seen over and over again. We, the parents, the educators, the coaches, tend to panic when a child isn't participating. We worry they're falling behind, that they lack confidence, that they'll never survive in the real world if they don't speak up. But there's what I want to say and talk about today. Silence is not a problem to fix. What does need to be learned or understood is that when to lean into it and when to choose to speak up. Let me tell you about a student. Let's call her Anna. She was 12 when I first met her at Orator Academy, and her mom said to me, she never speaks up in class. She doesn't raise her hand even when she knows the answer. I'm sure we've all heard that before. And I want her to be more confident. When I asked Anna one-on-one, do you have things to say in class? Why do you not raise your hand? She said, I just don't want to interrupt or say something that's very obvious or make it about me. I don't want the attention on myself. Everybody knows the right answer. And I thought, wow, that's not lack of confidence. That's deep thoughtfulness, empathy, awareness. That's someone who's confident just in her own quiet way. You see, we often confuse extroversion with expression. We treat being vocal as being better. But it isn't always so. How many times have you sat through a meeting where someone overspoke and underdelivered? How often do the loudest voices turn out to be the most unsubstantial, or worse, unkind? The key is balance, the ability to be visible and to know when to rise above the noise around you, to not let the noise bury your voice. Raising your hand first doesn't always mean you are thinking the most deeply and accurately. Sometimes the students who don't raise their hands may be observing more, processing more, and when they finally do speak up, they drop insights that may silence the room. But only if we've made space for that silence to feel safe. Only if we've shown them it's okay to speak in their own way. And that's where we, the parents, the educators, and the coaches, come in. We carry the responsibility of helping our children build a sense of conviction, of unwavering belief in their abilities, and most importantly, of liking who they are. Because if I don't know myself well, my strengths and weaknesses, if I don't like myself for my uniqueness, I'll never trust my voice. As a communication coach, I'll tell you this. It's never about turning introverts into extroverts. That's not the goal. The goal is to help each student find authentic tools for expression, so they never feel that they have become someone else to be heard, or no need to become somebody else to be heard. For some, that may mean working on eye contact and body language. For some others, it's about learning to pause and think, or maybe write their thoughts down first, or use storytelling to bring their ideas to life. It's not about conforming to what the world expects. It's about becoming fluent in your own style, in your own voice. And to the parents who worry that your child doesn't speak enough, I hear you. I really do. You attend a school event and there's that one child cracking jokes on the mic, and you can't help but wonder, why can't my child be like that? Well, let me ask you that. Does your child open up when they feel safe? Do they ask you thoughtful questions at home in those private one-on-one conversations? Do they have one friend that they confide in completely? Then maybe it's not a confidence issue. Maybe it's just a context issue. When we give our quiet students the right environment, not pressure, they grow and they surprise us every single time. One of my proudest moments was watching a student who never would raise her hand in school, and she took stage at our student showcase and not just speak but own her story. And afterwards she said, I didn't even know I could do that. And that's the point. They don't always know what they're capable of because we don't always give them the space to discover it, maybe. True confidence isn't about volume. It's about knowing when to speak and what to say. And that clarity doesn't come from shouting. It comes from self-awareness, from being okay with who you are. Think about Abraham Lincoln. He wasn't known for grand theatrics or overpowering presence. He was contemplative, measured, and even awkward in some social settings. But when he spoke, when he chose his words with intention, he moved a divided nation towards unity and justice. His quiet leadership shaped the course of American history. Or consider Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, whose gentle voice and calm demeanor shaped generations of children. He never needed to raise his voice to command attention. He connected through kindness, through empathy, and by making every child feel safe and seen. His impact came not from speaking the loudest, but from speaking the truest. And then there's Rosa Parks. Her refusal to give up her seat wasn't accompanied by a fiery speech or a loud protest. It was a simple, quiet act of defiance, and it sparked a nationwide movement. Her silence that day was more powerful than 1,000 voices shouting. Each of them reminds us being quiet doesn't make you weak. It can, in fact, be your greatest strength. Let's stop trying to fix the quiet ones. Let's start recognizing that quiet doesn't mean invisible and silence doesn't mean absence. Let's become better listeners, not just to the voices that fill the room, but to the ones waiting for the right moment, the right space, the right invitation. Because when they do speak, they often shift the room. True confidence isn't about volume. It's about knowing when to speak and what to say with substance. And that clarity doesn't come from shouting. It comes from self-awareness, from being okay with who you are. So to every silent student out there, we see you and we are keen to hear from you. And your voice, whenever you're ready, matters to us. Thank you for joining me in this conversation. Let's keep making space for every kind of voice, the ones that echo and the ones that linger quietly but powerfully in our hearts. Until next time, I'm Vineeta Khanna. This was OATSUNCUT.